4th Street, and we got Mo Dogs on 88.5 this year.
3, 2, 1. It's that time of the day. Welcome to the 4th Street Sports Show, an award-winning student podcast covering all things Golden Eagles. Welcome to 4th Street, everyone. Today is a special day. It's Labor Day, so a lot of people are off today, so it's a good day.
We don't take any days off.
That's right. We don't take any days off. Smooth words by Charlie. He may be Smooth Charlie by the end of this episode. But today is a special day. Like I said, today is Labor Day. A lot of people got to be lazy and chill after a very eventful weekend. As you guys know, Southern Miss played Liberty this week that went to a fourth overtime, 29-27. Crazy game. A lot of impact and a lot of energy, and just a crazy game. And we'll pretty much sum that up in a little bit, guys. But as you know, I have my guys on with me, Charlie, Jackson. Nathan is over to the side. Say what's up to the people, Nathan.
What's up, y'all? Y'all gonna hear me to talk today. Demon's out.
Yeah, Demon is out. Nathan is stealing the mic from Demon. Demon has some things to take care of today, so he couldn't make it. As you guys know, Demon might be cooking somewhere on the grill. I don't know. Who knows? But as you guys know, it was an eventful weekend. But to get into things, let's preview the show. We have a special interview with the soccer assistant coach, Haley Knowles. Also, we'll jump into our Eagle Eye pretty soon, and we have a special flower section, which is our first of the season. Yes. As you guys know, I'm pretty sure everybody will know by the end of the show who won our flower section after his special game that came up just a little bit short. But as you guys know, our Eagle Eye is upon us, and I'll talk about that later, but I'll hand it over to you, Charlie.
We're going to go straight into soccer. Soccer got its home opener after that game against Mississippi Valley State was canceled. And they lost 3-1 against LSU. The Golden Eagles had multiple opportunities yesterday. Were only able to convert one into a goal, and that was from no other than Ilana Izquierdo, who's back from Costa Rica. She scored that goal right in the beginning of the second half on a precise pass. I mean, that was a beautiful pass from Bernadette Stefan. And they're now 0-3 to start the season, all against SEC competition. Again, they jump straight into that. They will close out that SEC slate this week with a match this Thursday at home against Mississippi State, and then they will travel to Oxford to play Ole Miss Sunday. And you can read that game recap and more on what Coach Mo said about the start of the season up on sm2media.com.
Yes.
Plug.
And jumping into volleyball now, they had a very successful weekend in the Mercer Bears Classic where they went undefeated. They started out Friday with a win in 4 sets against host Mercer, and then they started Saturday with a battle that went to 5 sets against Charleston Southern where they prevailed. They finished the day with a 3-0 victory against Queen's University of Charlotte to improve to 5-1 on the season. Mia Wesley was named tournament MVP after getting 65 kills on the weekend, 65. Including 25 in each of Saturday's matches. Just unbelievable by her. Kenzie Smith earned all tournament honors with 129 assists on the weekend, and Kara Atkinson also earned such honors with her 27 kills on the weekend. The Southern Miss Invitational is this weekend. Mississippi Valley State and Houston Baptist will face Southern Miss on Saturday, but Southern Miss starts things off against Stephen F. Austin Friday at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Jackson.
Southern Miss Volleyball is killing it, and Mia Wesley is a generational talent. I will keep saying that. 65 kills? Man, 65 kills. That's special, and just for the people out there that's listening, you don't want to miss the home opener for Southern Miss Volleyball coming up, like you said, in the Southern Miss Invitational, starting September the 9th. So be there, be square, because it's going to be a exciting time. But as you guys know, football is here. Football is here. September the 3rd. It happened, guys. It seemed like a long time coming, and it felt like a long time coming after that game.
Yeah, we didn't get out
4
there.
overtimes, guys. But just to hop into it, just some first impressions, and then we'll hop into the wrap that we got. So first impressions on the game, 4 overtimes. I think that's, I don't know the correct record, but there has to be some form of record right there in itself to go 4 overtimes.
I think Jack said maybe the longest was like 7 or something. So we thought that actually could have been the longest, but I mean, if I'm just gonna give you a couple words because we're gonna talk a lot about it, but it was just, I don't know. When games start to go like that, it's like it just happens. You know, in what kind of game does a kicker miss like a 30-yard field goal and then right after, both kickers, exactly. It's just like one thing after another. So it's like whatever happens in this game, you know, Southern Miss gave it their all, and we'll get into the mistakes they made. But you got to be kind of glad with the performance they gave Saturday.
Yeah, if you were not a fan of either team, didn't have a dog in the fight, just an absolutely great game. But if you were a fan of either one of the programs, obviously a lot of ups and downs, and obviously with the big heartbreak of Southern Miss. We thought Liberty would be a good team, and Southern Miss turned it over 5 times and hung in there with them. So it was a great game, and we're excited to see what they can do the rest of the season.
Yeah, and like y'all said, it's one of those games. It's just, you know, whatever happens, happens. First game of the season. Southern Miss came out there, played with all their heart, and they faced a Liberty team that knew how to win. So at the end of the day, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and talk about it too much because we got this wrap coming up. But yeah, at the end of the day, Southern Miss played with all their heart.
Yes, that is true. And without further ado, let's play the clip, baby.
For its first game of the season, Will Hall and company would try to overcome 5 turnovers and a loss to starting QB Ty Keys, but in the end would fall to Liberty 29-27 in a 4th overtime loss as Frank Gore Jr. would get stuffed at the line as Liberty walked it off.
You know, the bad thing is we did a lot of stupid things that cost us what could have been a really big win. The good thing is that a year ago, that team would have blew us out.
We gave it our best shot. We can't dwell on the loss. I mean, we gave it all we had. We got a national ranked opponent next week, so we got to keep taking steps forward and just leave that game behind us. It's over.
Starting in the second half, Frank Gore Jr. stepped in at superback after Ty Keys went down with a concussion.
Yeah, I got no idea on Ty, outside of the fact that they wouldn't let him come back in, Andrew. And the decision to switch to superback was what we felt like gave us the best opportunity to win relative to how we've seen our other QBs practice right now.
I mean, I'm a ball player. I got to be prepared, hike the ball, and just run the ball. That's not that hard, but it wasn't. We prepared for it. Like, we were ready to get into it, so I was prepared.
As superback, Gore would carry for 32 times on the night for a total of 178 yards and 2 touchdowns, carrying the load for the Golden Eagles. But in the end, it was not enough.
We ran the play a couple more times, so they knew it was coming, and they shifted the backers open, and I tried to hit it like a little crease, tried to get to 2 yards, and they grabbed me.
The Golden Eagles now go on to face the number 16th ranked Miami.
And we're back. That was our wrap on Southern Miss vs. Liberty, the 4 overtime thriller that was Saturday evening, Saturday night, whatever you want to call it. But just to get into it, let's just discuss Frank Gore Jr. for a second. 32 carries for 178 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just first impressions, or just give me your just initial thoughts on the way that he was able to come in and assert himself. After Ty Keys went down in the second quarter, he came back in the third quarter and just took over the offense. Could we just talk about that? The offense just seemed to have that spurt and that just fire and energy after that second half. Can we just talk about that right fast?
I mean, we had no doubt that Frank Gore Jr. would be that guy for Southern Miss coming into the season, even coming into last season. Mm-hmm. I remember first fall camp, he was here. Seniors were talking about him playing like a senior. So there was no doubt that he was going to show up. The ball was going in his hands. But even when we interviewed him just a couple weeks ago, he said he didn't mind the superback position, and he actually liked it because he wants the ball in his hand every play. He's that guy. So I mean, what we saw was just, I think a reflection of what kind of player he is. But it is kind of concerning to see 32 carries and even more. I don't know the number, but it was probably over 50 snaps that he was on the field, definitely. And so having that kind of workload in week 1 for a running back is kind of concerning. So we're going to get into that, but I'll let y'all kind of talk about what y'all saw too.
Yeah, sustainability is a real concern here. He can't be doing this every single week. His body just simply won't hold up, no matter how good he is. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. It was interesting to see them go back to the Superbacks so early, because throughout the summer, throughout fall camp, they never really practiced the Superback that often at practice, if at all.
We said they must have had secret practices going on or something.
Yeah, that was speculation.
And Will Hall said this at the press conference, that was a concerted effort. He did that on purpose to kind of hide it and not let him know his hand of cards, so to speak. So it was interesting to see them go back to that, but really it just depends, if Ty Keys can get healthy, he's going to be quarterback one. But Frank Gore performed well, so it was good to see that. Nathan, what were your thoughts?
The biggest thing I noticed is it's proof that you got to have a quarterback to win, especially a game like that. Southern Miss did the best they could with that Superback offense. At the end of the day, it's smart to put the ball in your best player's hands when you're fighting in a game. I mean, there's no doubt about Frank Gore's talent when he's on the field and probably in the locker room as well. So at the end of the day, it's like you said, Jackson, we got to see if Ty Keys is healthy to see where Southern Miss is going to be heading for the rest of this season. You can't rely on the Superback all season. I don't think Southern Miss fans want to see the team rely on it that much ever again.
I think that was like the turning point, because before it was like Superbacks. Oh yeah, Superbacks, and then now people are like, why are we running this?
It's over with, y'all.
And I will say, speaking of Ty Keys' health, Will Hall spoke to the media today, says he has a chance to play against Miami, but he also mentioned maybe Zach Wilkie gets to see the field. So he was kind of non-committal. And he didn't really specify Ty Keys' injury, but he's definitely an option.
Yes, and also to add to that, like you said, that Ty Keys is he's an option, but we don't know what's his health status right now. That was a pretty tough hit that he took, and just the way that he went down, we don't know. So there is uncertainty. But going back to that Superback position, it is kind of like you saw guys stated, like, I was shocked to see it come out so early. I thought that, Trey Lowe, he did throw the pick at the end of the second quarter right there heading into half, but that was like a heave just to see where they could go to Brownlee or whatever, but it wasn't successful. But you have to ask yourself at the same time, too, it's like, man, like, was there any, he stated it, that the quarterback position, he felt that it wasn't adequate enough to put on the field at the time. He put the ball in Frank Gore's hands, but now that you kind of retract from it, it's like these guys had the reps. You didn't, believe in them enough to, at least put those guys out there to play, because you made an excellent point, Nathan, that you talked about Salter, and you made the statement. Well, you were talking about how the quarterback was a much needed, position on the quarterback on the field, and you looked at Salter, and Salter played phenomenal for Liberty. That was their third string quarterback. I would have liked to see Wilkie, or you gave Lowe a chance just somewhere in there in the fourth quarter or third quarter. I know the Superback thing worked, and it came in handy. It caught everybody by surprise, guys. It caught everybody by surprise. But the only thing was, you knew that coming down the stretch that it wasn't going to win the game fully, and that's just a concern for me. And obviously you're not going to try to play the Superback position against a team like Miami. So that was just kind of very concerning for me, just to see the Superback come out. Even though it did well, you have to ask yourself, are these other quarterbacks adequate enough to play, or, what was the confidence issue with disconnect right there?
And if I could just say, what was most confusing is that after the game, Will Hall said that Trey Lowe made a good decision to throw it down deep. He didn't even blame Trey Lowe for it. He said it was the receiver's fault for not making a better effort on getting the ball. So then why after that would he bench Trey Lowe for the remainder of the game outside of 1 2-point conversion play? We know that the Superback worked, like you said, Austin, but it's still really confusing why you take the quarterback out there and put in Gore for the rest of the game.
That's my main concern, because Hall said this himself, and we don't want to be too critical, but it is questionable because the Superbacks worked, but Hall said it himself that they want to get back to being a quarterback-centric program, and then you got a guy in Lowe who stuck with the program. I mean, even went from
in and out.
they were talking to him being a tight end to him now being the backup quarterback again. I mean, he's been through it all. I feel like he deserved that chance. And yeah, like we said, that was a situational kind of play where he was trying to force it down the field at the end of halftime. That was his only chance of the game. And then you take it out and then run a very limited offense. And not only is that, I mean, I'm going to say it's a disservice to your players on the field. I've said that to the receivers that you have, Brownlee and Cashton and Cole Cavallo. It's just a disservice to them because they didn't even get the targets. You know, those are the guys that Liberty, even though they were down quarterbacks, they still had on the field. They were going to that Douglas guy.
Mario
throwing.
Douglas, yes.
That's, I think, what eventually lost them the game in overtime. You know, Liberty knew what was coming. Southern Miss had all these areas of the field to cover, especially when you get down to the 3-yard line. You know, you basically are guessing at that point. It's equivalent to like penalty kicks. So I think it was just like you stick with it that early. You're showing everybody what you have. You know, you can't run with that for the rest of the season. You can't run with that against a team that just put 70 points against somebody.
No, and just like you just said, at the end of the day, the difference between these two teams was that one coach was willing to go to his backups and the other coach was not willing to go back to his backups. And look at the talent, the receivers. Southern Miss had the same exact talent as Liberty at receiver. I mean, I think we can all agree. Maybe a slight edge. I mean, it wasn't a big gap. Running back, same thing. You got to trust the guys behind the other guys. It's a depth. Football is a depth game. At the end of the day, you can't trust the ones to play every single down, every single game, and to win a game. You know, and like we said, we don't want to be too critical of coach or nothing, but those are those things you gotta work through, and you gotta trust those backups sitting behind, and that's what gets teams going. I know it looked like the team was much more amped up in that second half when they came out with the Superback, which is good. That's a good thing to see if you're for Southern Miss fans. But at the end of the day, how can the team not be hyped about a backup quarterback maybe coming in, changing that energy, like talking about throwing in Wilkie? It's just, I don't get that either. I mean, a freshman, you got Trey Lowe sitting right there waiting. It's just, it looks bad, but not to go too far into it, like y'all said. But that was kind of my thoughts on that.
Yes, it was just some questions right there. Not like you said, not to be critical too much, but he has to make that decision. We don't make that decision at the end of the day. But that was just something that was kind of concerning because you look at it like, hey, Liberty stuck with their guys. They went down the depth chart, and Salter for them figured it out. And Gore actually figured it out for us for a while, for Southern Miss. He figured it out for Southern Miss for a while, driving down the field, but eventually you knew that it wasn't going to be enough because your offense was limited. And you don't want to go into a game with the number 16 ranked Miami with your offense being limited. Ty Keys, we don't know if he's going to play right now. We don't know if Ty Keys is going to play right now because of concussion protocols and things like that. So you have to go in there with a quarterback. You can't go in there with a superback. That's just the only thing right there because Miami will be expecting that. So just to move on to the next topic, can we just talk about Liberty right fast and just what did you guys see from them that was encouraging and also just talk about Southern Miss's overall play, 29-27 against one of the premier Group of 5 teams in the country right now. Could we just talk about that and just the improvements we saw?
I would say this. I mean, Southern Miss was actually winning that game pretty much the entire game. Oh, yeah. And that said something for Southern Miss, that they were able to compete against, what's been considered as a premier Group of 5 program for the last couple of years. And so they had a lot of talent. We were talking about the quarterbacks scrambling, especially Salter at the end. But Southern Miss's defense hung in with them the whole game, and the Superback offense caught the defense off guard. So I really felt like it was an even kind of fought match, but it was just those 5 turnovers that Jackson kind of foreshadowed. That's what really, you can't expect to win that game. You can be glad with your performance, but when you have 5 turnovers in any game being that close, you're pretty fortunate. And that's what Coach Hall even said. He said last year, I think the score he gave was 56-7 if last year's team played like that.
Crazy,
So,
Yeah, like you said, Charlie, it was an achievement in and of itself to force it to not one, not two, not three, but 4 overtimes. When you turn it over 5 times, including 2 turnovers inside the 5, Southern Miss showed a lot of fight. They're obviously a lot better than they were last year, but it's just going to be interesting to see. Can they cut out these miscues? Can they sharpen it up down the season? Excuse me, I stumbled. But it'll be interesting to see going forward.
It will be interesting to see going forward, but now it'll be interesting to see who we have up next. As I stated before, we will have our assistant head coach at Southern Miss, Haley Knowles, come on with us after the break. Be back for more with 4th Street, baby. Welcome back to the 4th Street Sports Show. We are here with our guest for the day, assistant soccer coach Haley Knowles. She is coming from Huntington College, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and this is a pleasure to have you on. That was actually her song of the day, "Scissor Good Days." I was vibing out.
I'm gonna have to add that to my playlist. I like it. But
It is.
Coach, how are you doing? How has Hattiesburg been since you've come?
Honestly, I'm a fan of Hattiesburg, for sure. Originally from Tampa, Florida, so a little bit different vibe, but I've lived in a couple small cities now, southern cities, and I think Hattiesburg is probably my favorite so far.
And how are you just liking the start of your tenure? How's the adjustment been to soccer-wise?
I don't want to say easy, but it's been fun. It's been fun. The girls are awesome. The staff is awesome. The school is great. All the fans. So it's been a fun whirlwind, I would say. Very quick turnaround.
And quick turnaround has been like literally a couple months. Could you talk about that and just like how you first heard about that position and to where you got now?
Yeah, so I was previously at Huntington College, spent 3 years there, had a great time. I was going back home to coach at my alma mater, and then it so happened that Coach Mo called me. I had worked with him in the past on the recruiting trail, very fond of Coach Mo before working with him, of course, and then ended up here and have been loving it ever since. I mean, what I already knew of Coach Mo and Coach JP prior, it's only enhanced with my experience of working with them, so it's been a great time.
And Coach Mo's praised your work ethic, your energy that you bring. How would you describe your coaching style, just how you approach coaching, and how that kind of aligns with what Coach Mo and JP were kind of looking for?
Well, I would say first and foremost, I was very happy to work with Coach Mo and Coach JP, one, because they're both very empathetic, down-to-earth humans, and I think that that's something that I align very heavily with. Especially being so close in age and experience to the girls, too. I think that gives me a little edge of creating that bond with them. But definitely, like coming from a human level, talking to the girls and like connecting with them and basically caring about the person that they are first and foremost, because then that will take itself on the field, So that's what I like to pride myself on, of course, outside of the coaching, because at the end of the day, you're trying to mentor these girls into their future, not just, these 4 years or pro or however their futures may take.
Now, you said that you met Coach Mo on the recruiting trail. Could you just talk about a little bit, like, what was the first encounter that you had with Coach Mo on the recruiting trail, and just kind of talk about that right there?
So, Coach Mo, he's a character, as you guys know. He's awesome. And, of course, we would go and do these. So, like, different schools, you get different camps that you're invited to go work with, high school level girls. So we would be working these little camps for, like, high school level CCSC camps, and we would be running our sessions next to each other. So, he would take the first session and I would take the second, or vice versa. And the thing that I really like about Coach Mo is that, one, you're going to hear him way across the field. So that's hilarious, too. He's just very vocal, very energetic, very enthusiastic, and it doesn't matter with who, of course our program, but like on the recruiting trail with these girls that, they're just there for a few hours, like he's giving them the best time that they can get with the most education as well. So that is admirable, but also really fun to work with too. So that was one of my first experiences with him, was just, at these little camps, where we have a few hours to work with girls in the local area, and just seeing Coach Mo's enthusiasm is it's awesome.
And going from a player, you've got quite a soccer background, going from a player to coach now, how long has it been since you've been a player?
So I graduated in 2019. So still, I would like to say fresh out. I would like to keep that in my back pocket. But I still try to play as much as possible. But I think it helps a lot. Especially like I said, relating to the girls being so fresh out, having gone through all their experiences that they have gone through. At the collegiate level, at the club level, youth level, everything that I can relate on that fact that I have been there. I have seen what they've seen. I have, been through the grind of it all, the, challenges that it brings, but also just on that personal level, I think that is something that is, just different from a different perspective.
And
just being 3 years out of college
Mm-hmm.
removed, could you just talk about just the quick, gradual progression you've had through the coaching ranks and just that
Yeah.
fast to reach just a Division I level so quickly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually in my spring semester of my senior year at Ecker College, I happened to, get the opportunity of working at Huntington College. So I'm telling you, like weeks later, I moved to Montgomery, Alabama, straight into coaching. The oldest girl was a year younger than me that I was coaching right away. So that was definitely a challenge in itself. I didn't entirely know that I wanted to do coaching right away, but of course, it's in my blood. Like, my dad has coached his whole life. He was a professional player. My whole family played soccer, so how could I not, So, and I got into it right away, and I had loved it ever since. I spent 3 years at Huntington, and that really gave me the time to get comfortable with it and get comfortable with my coaching style and who I wanted to be, in the coaching world and where I wanted to take my career. And then this was just, I'm blessed, honestly, to get to this opportunity and to, be thriving in it, honestly. It's really fun.
And I've always wondered, as a coach starting out, like, I always kind of think that there's like some handbook that you're reading, but I know there's not. Like, how do you start as a coach?
That's a good question, honestly. You kind of, I feel like it takes a different type of player and person to be a coach, or at least to start out into it and, see if you can be a good coach and can make this, a career that you're passionate about. But yeah, there's no handbook. You kind of figure it out as you go along. It's trial and error, just like everything. You're kind of thrown into the fire, and I think that's honestly the best way that I've learned, because you get to be in there, you get to be in the mess, you get to make mistakes, you get to learn from them, but also, you're trying your best and you're taking your knowledge from your playing years, while also, of course, there's courses, there's coaching licenses to gain, but also being with the staff that you are. Like, of course, I'm with Coach Mo, very well-seasoned coach, definitely knows what he's doing. Coach JP as well, they've worked together for a while, so it was a very good situation for me to come in and learn even more based off of, the past 3 years that I had in the coaching world.
And just talking about being in the coaching world, also, you talked about your family right there. Could you just get into that family tree? You said your dad was a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Just elaborate a little more on that.
My dad, he's Scottish. He was born in Scotland, so, he came out the womb playing soccer, basically. So, yeah, he played his whole life. He played professional, and, it's just an absolute passion of his. And my brother and sister both had played all the way up until they didn't play college because of their own reasons, but, they still play heavily. They're still very much involved. And I was the one that went through, the whole college route and everything, and to get to where I am now. But everyone is, who's huge supporter. They all still are very invested in soccer. That's in our blood. So it's good to have that support system around me for sure in this journey of mine.
Of course, and just talking about that too with your coaching, just your past coaching, just history so far. Did you always know that you would be a coach? Also, like, kind of like being on a team with a couple of athletes or so, you're like, man, this guy's the coach of the team. Was it kind of like that for you growing up and just going up through the ranks, kind of?
So, like I said, I never, how people like to plan their whole lives ahead of time.
Yeah.
Well, one, I'm not that person, never been that person. But I had this whole idea that I'm very much into science and biology, like my major was biology, so I thought that I would go into physical therapy. And then I always knew that I would probably take some time off originally because, the whole doctorate program and everything, it's a lot, it's a lot of work. But then, of course, the opportunity presented itself for Huntington, and I was like, you know what, that could be it, because of course, soccer has been my life. I have known nothing else besides soccer, and I had been in these, leadership roles my whole life. And mostly every team that I've been on, I've been like in a captain leadership role. I've connected well with my coaches. I've tried to be involved in that side as well as much as possible. And then also with my minor in psychology, like I'm very much into that side as well. So it's kind of a good little balance that I didn't know that would set me up for the career that I have ventured into. And like I said, at first I was just kind of trying it out to see, it was right. It was an opportunity right out of college, something that I was very passionate about. So I was like, why would I not, And being in it this far, I don't see anything else for me.
Coach, I know you're still starting out here at Southern Miss, but you're familiar with Florida, and you're going to be recruiting around Florida. It says Carolina and Georgia also. Coach Mo's talked to us about some of the talent here, but with your experience, what have you seen talent-wise over there?
Well, Florida is one of the big states for youth soccer in America, so having those pipelines I think is really crucial, and I know Coach Mo touched on that as well, like in our individual conversations. I do have a lot of pipelines in Florida to, recruit out of, and the talent there, I mean, it's just growing over the years, which is it's awesome. And we are, we're looking to, expand in Florida, especially, it's kind of an easy little route for me, just go home and recruit at the same time. It's a nice little bonus. But we're definitely looking forward to expanding our recruiting trail in Florida.
And how do you kind of sell Southern Miss to students or prospects over there?
Well, I mean, I'm going to keep harping on it because it's just fact. But obviously, the coaching staff, Coach Mo, JP, I think that's a sell in itself. A thing that's different about Coach Mo versus other coaches is that he's very personable. He'll get on a FaceTime call with you and he'll talk to you. First questions out the gate will be about your personal life. It won't be about soccer. Obviously, we're recruiting you for the athlete that you are, or else we wouldn't be in the position that we are. But he wants to know about the person. He wants to know about who you are as a person as well as a soccer player. So I know, formally being recruited and everything, that is just invaluable when it comes to the whole recruiting path, because that's kind of stressful in itself. So having a coach that genuinely cares about who you are as a person kind of gives you that comfort of like, oh, I'm coming onto a real team, that values me for more than just, my skill set that I could possibly bring. So I think that that's a huge sell outside of, the campus. Absolutely beautiful. The surrounding area is awesome. And, I mean, I don't know. That's my number one, I think, first and foremost.
Now, getting a little bit into the season, could you just discuss, like, the season so far? You've played 4 SEC opponents, which is ridiculous to even think about. But could you just talk about just what you've seen so far from the girls and just everybody so far?
Absolutely. It's definitely been a very big growing process for us. We have a fairly young team, majority of our team for sure. And I can personally say, bias outside of it, we have grown every single practice, every single game from the start. I mean, we were just discussing this as a coaching staff the other day. We are a completely different team than we were from the very start of the season. And every day we're just getting that much closer to our goal. Little tweaks here and there, but the idea is getting there. The girls are getting it. The girls are playing for each other. And, of course, playing these big SEC teams, it only brings us that much closer, right, to each other. Especially as results will say from itself, we are definitely growing. And you can see after these games, especially yesterday, we can compete with these teams. And the girls know that now, and they can see that, which is only going to prepare us perfectly for conference play.
And talking about conference play, just how familiar are you with kind of the talent or what y'all are up against coming later this season in the Sun Belt, being Southern Miss's first season in the conference?
So, playing college soccer myself, of course I've been aware of the Sun Belt Conference and the quality that it is. Having personal experience, of course, that's going to be a learning curve for me as well. But obviously Coach Mo and JP are very, seasoned in that aspect. So we always have like a scout beforehand. We have access to games and film, from the other opponents. So I think we're prepared. I think we're going to be prepared. I think as long as we stick to our game plan, everything's going to unfold in itself. But I think it's a very good conference, and I think that our preseason opponents and everyone that we have played thus far is only going to prepare us even better for our conference play, which is actually it's high level as well. So we're only going up.
Coach, what can fans look forward to the most for this 2022 squad?
Well, like I said before, our girls are pretty young, so that's very exciting. To be at this level with such a young squad is very exciting for the future to come. I think, personally, when watching, what's most exciting for the fans will probably be our midfield play, the little tiki-taka around in the midfield with Steffi and Ilana and Sam. But just honestly, the character of our team. It's beautiful to watch the work ethic, but also just the heart in it that the girls have for each other and for their program that they play with.
And ladies and gentlemen, that has been assistant soccer coach Haley Knowles. She is in her first year here at Southern Miss. She's quite young to be a coach, but we're glad that you're here at Southern Miss, and we'll be back after the break with the flower section, brought to you by University Florist.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to be around at soccer.
We'll be back for more on 4th Street. Let's play a song.
gentlemen, it's that time of the show. We're now giving flowers.
Welcome back to the flowers section, brought to you by University Florists and Gifts, located on Highway 49, guys, just right around the corner from the school here. So, just so before we open up on our flowers, which we know, everybody probably don't know who the
Yeah, we already posted it.
Yeah,
So.
we already posted it. Everybody know who is the 4th Street Player of the Week. But I'll let you break that down a little bit, Charlie. But I just want to say I'm missing Dima on here.
Mm-hmm.
I know we all are missing Dima, man. We just wish him the best of luck on his day, and hopefully that he's enjoying it. But we are missing Dima, man, and we just want to state that, man. Dima, we miss you, man. So
Flowers.
hopefully he'll be back on. That's my flowers.
Yeah.
Good luck out there, Dima.
You hear the ad-lib by Nathan. But just hopping into the flowers section, I'll have you take it away, Charlie, on our 4th Street Player of the Week.
Yes, the first 4th Street. The first 4th Street Player of the Week award of the season goes to Frank Gore Jr. It was pretty obvious. I mean, after that performance, career high of 178 yards, and I mean, he gave it his all against Liberty. So congrats, Frank Gore Jr. And he responded to the 4th Street Post. He said, "Thank you guys, to the top." And he got, let me see the percentage, but I'm pretty sure it was yeah.
Percentage. Last time I checked, it was over 80%.
Yeah, 67%.
Yeah.
Eric Scott Jr., we want to give a shout out to all the other nominees. Eric Scott Jr. got a respectable 24%, and actually Frank recommended
he
that.
told people to go.
Yeah,
I
go
thought
for
that
it.
was the coolest thing.
That was. And Mia, I mean, we wanted to bring this up. Mia, I think is getting overlooked because she right now is number 4 in the nation and kills.
That is so hard to do.
Might be
Yes.
the best athlete here, let's be honest.
Yeah, so we Southern Miss fans cannot overlook Mia Wesley. We want to give shout out to her. And also Ilana Izquierdo coming back from Costa Rica. She was the leading scorer last season. And then she scores the first goal of the season for the Golden Eagles yesterday. So, I mean, we've got some really exciting players here at Southern Miss right now. But congrats to Frank Gore for winning that award.
Also, I just want to put this name out there, just honorable mention. I just want to give a shout out to Malik Shorts for his performance that he had. I know it probably kind of went under the radar, but he had an interception and he had 11 solo tackles with a total of 12. So I just want to give a shout out to him. He played phenomenal, and he was just all over the field. I just want to give a shout out to Malik Shorts for his stellar play that he had on Saturday evening too. But also, just to continue on, we have a lot of flowers to give out. And another shout out to Briggs Bourgeois. I got it right this time. I got it right.
Yes.
I got it right this time, who had an underrated moment in Saturday's loss, guys. Also, he had a redemption. He pulled out the redemption card and nailed it, guys. He missed a short field goal in the overtime period. But Liberty's kicker saved his life.
Yeah, and he got the
missed
chance.
It also, and Briggs Bourgeois had the chance with a 53-yard field goal in the second overtime to keep the game alive. I definitely feel like that this was like a moments card in like 2K.
Yeah.
But stellar kick by him, and just a stellar way to respond back with a 53-yard field goal. That was amazing.
Career high.
That was a career high.
Nice 2K reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to. That was a moments card member right there. Go ahead, Jack.
And if I could just give a quick shout out as well, keeping it with special teams, Jake Lang, obviously you know him as a quarterback who relieved Ty Keys last season, made a great hold for Briggs Bourgeois. He's the holder this year, made a great play and led to some special team success for the Golden Eagles, so shout out to him.
Yeah, definitely shout out to him. But like I said, Saturday's game was just to wrap things up, Saturday's game was nothing that I've seen before here at Southern Miss. That was definitely one of the best games that I can remember since that Louisiana Tech home game here in 2020. I don't know if y'all remember that, but Louisiana Tech, am I getting it correct?
I don't remember that.
It was like Louisiana Tech scored a touchdown in the last few seconds of the game.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So
The Hobson game.
Look how Jackson's looking. But yes, that was a nail biter in itself, and that was a complete effort. I'm not gonna lie, I was completely shocked by the way that game ended, and just how well that it was played, and sloppy at the same time. It was definitely an entertaining game. If you're a fan of college football or just a fan of Southern Miss or Liberty, you can't complain at any stop about that game. It was definitely heartbreaking, gut-wrenching. It was all of the things that you imagine in a football game. And that was not the only game that was crazy like that. Let's just talk about, just rambling on here, but let's talk about LSU games last night. LSU game last night against Florida State, man.
I don't need to be talking about that.
There was
Nathan is still hurting.
Yeah, Tiger fan here, sadly.
there was just so many crazy games this weekend. Guess what? Week 1, baby.
One, man. And I'm going to just say this right here. I cannot recall a week 1 college football season that was so phenomenal. I'm literally telling you guys, every game that I watched came down to the very last second. Appalachian State versus North Carolina, LSU versus Florida State. We all know Southern Miss game. And also Penn State versus Purdue was a pretty entertaining game.
Ohio State game was closer than everyone thought.
Yeah.
Yes, and Demon was having a heart attack over there. And the other game that we watched was on Thursday night. It was pretty good. Pitt and West Virginia. Man, all of those games were stellar. Every last game that I watched this week was entertaining. But without further ado, any last thoughts before we wrap it up, guys?
No, I gotta say, we're trying to go to Miami, so we could. I'm gonna break it out right there. We might have some good coverage for you coming your way in Miami.
May be in Florida. We may be in Florida. So be on the lookout for that. Also, be on the lookout for our episode that will be uploaded on all your podcast platforms coming up tonight. So if you missed it, don't worry, don't fret. Make sure to be on the lookout for it on your podcast platforms, or you can view us live in the flesh. Well, not live, but pre-recorded, I guess. On the live stream at Southern Miss Student Media, where you can see our 4th Street episode, where we had the chance and opportunity to interview assistant soccer coach Haley Knowles. That was definitely an excellent interview, and we just want to thank her again for coming on. But without further ado, that has been it for 4th Street. I will save my caca for another week. I will save it for the next Southern Miss win. How about that?
Perfect.
All right. So without further ado, you guys and gals have a phenomenal night and enjoy yourself on Labor Day.
3, 2, 1.
It's fine.
This has been the 4th Street Sports Show. Tune in next Monday at 5.